I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I had.
Thanks to all of you for your support of this great organization, which has been around since
2002.
So happy 20th anniversary to all of those who have been around the organization since the very beginning, including some in attendance today. I saw Dick Boucher here and Pierre Belanger, Roland Martin, along with many others. And a special mention and salute to Jim Hayes, whose energy and enthusiasm, there you go. He keeps this event one of the best of its kind anywhere. So congratulations to Jim and everyone involved with putting this great event together. And now we have today's invocation, and we will be joined by the Reverend Monsignor C. Peter Dumont.
Thank you for inviting me once again. A couple months ago I had a birthday, and in my birthday fantasy, there was a snowbank, and planted in the snowbank were 2 upside-down hockey sticks, which reminded me I'm 77 years old. But then I realized that it was in those years that Father Bousquet built Notre Dame Arena. This was not the house that Babe Ruth built, but the house that Father Bousquet built. And then, you know, about 25 years later, the tragedy that hit Berlin, and of course it hit the hockey family throughout New Hampshire with the collapse of the Berlin and the loss of life of Norman Boucher. It was terrible. The city mourned, hockey mourned, but we just could not get him back. Life is so delicate, so fragile, so precious, so expensive and priceless at the same time. And so the people of Berlin and in the surrounding area upheld his family and friends, and they gave him over to God, and God said, I'll take care of him, but you can rebuild the arena. And so they decided to rebuild the arena, and the problem was there was no money. There was a little money to keep the little furnace going that warmed up the so-so dressing rooms and small concession stands. There was enough money to run the Zamboni and turn on the lights. There was enough money to run the compressor, but that was it. There was no money. So an application was made to the Small Business Administration, which granted a 30-year loan at a very low interest. And so the desire, the determination of rebuilding that arena was there. And finally, a few dollars came in. Determination, desire, goodwill. The house that Father Bousquet built has been operating ever since. Notre Dame High School, Berlin High School, Berlin Maroons, public skating on Friday nights, countless numbers of pickup teams, retired hockey players to be. And that's why we are here, is it not? And congratulations on your 20th anniversary, to remember, to promote, to enjoy. The sport of hockey is great for players. It brings up their heart rate. The sport of hockey brings up an even higher heart rate in the onlookers. That is why we are here, to remember, to celebrate, to promote, to assure a future. So we're so thankful to God for giving us some human being somewhere who invented the sport of hockey. And we're so, aren't we though? Wherever they may be from, we honor them because we're continuing in that long, long tradition. And we're thankful to God for everything He has done for us. And we ask God to take care of all those who have died. And we ask God to look upon the inductees who are going to be honored today. And we ask God to bless this food, which will keep our body and soul together. And we ask God to bless our conversations about hockey and many other things. And Lord, we have received all these benefits from your bounty, and we thank you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Now let's welcome the president of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, John Norman.
Good afternoon and welcome. On behalf of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 20th induction ceremony of the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame. We're sure you will thoroughly enjoy the day, and we hope you will return next year as a fan of hockey, play in our golf classic, or consider donating as a supporter. I'd like to begin by congratulating the 5 individuals who are about to be enshrined in our Hall of Fame. A special welcome to their family members, friends who have come to join in today's celebration. I also want to welcome members of our Hall of Fame who are present today, and we will acknowledge them and recognize them later individually in the program. We've gathered here today because of a game that has touched each of our lives in many different ways. It's a unique event that brings the New Hampshire hockey community under one roof where we can rekindle old friendships, foster new ones, and celebrate the past, present, and future of hockey in New Hampshire. Of course, we're gathered primarily to honor our inductees who have made significant contributions to the sport of hockey in New Hampshire. Like all of our members of the Hall of Fame, our new inductees have given back to the sport of hockey and have left their unique imprint on the New Hampshire hockey landscape. And their contributions, as you will see, are unmeasurable. I'd like to acknowledge State Senator Lou D'Alessandro of Manchester, a longtime Legends supporter and former board member, who is not here with us today. He's recovering from recent surgery, and however, here he's doing quite well. I'd like to recognize a few individuals who have joined us today. Please hold your applause until the end. Leo Gould, our keynote speaker and a Hall of Fame member. Longtime UNH and Dartmouth head coaches, Bob Gaudette. Unfortunately, Dick Umili from UNH is not able to attend, but here in his presence is his wife, Rose. Thank you. We'd also like to recognize the board members, or the board member from the Massachusetts Hockey Hall of Fame, Joe Bertagna, who is also the former Hockey East Commissioner. Other guests here today include Ken Linsman, Bruce Crowder, as well as Coach Rick Middleton, and one of Rick and Tom's players from the 2002 gold medal team, Kip St. Germain and Taylor Chase, who was on the 2016. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Our story is in the program, as many of you have probably already read. The New Hampshire Legends were formed in 2001. Our primary mission of honoring, celebrating, and preserving New Hampshire's rich ice hockey history while supporting the development of hockey. The first organized hockey game with rules in the United States was played in 1883 on a pond here in Concord by students of St. Paul's School, today's longtime luncheon sponsor. You can access the New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame by going to our website, nhlegendsofhockey.com. Anyone may research and submit a nomination of a deserving individual for induction. Next year, those nominations are due by March 31st of 2023. In the past few years, the focus of the Legends is recognizing and supporting the growth of hockey in New Hampshire. For example, we've supported several youth hockey programs with equipment donations for youth players, most recently the Back Bay Youth Association of Wolfboro. We partner with the New Hampshire high school coaches to recognize the boys and girls all-state players. We also partner with New Hampshire prep school coaches to recognize their all-state players. We sponsor the New Hampshire High School Senior All-Star Doubleheader for Division I and Division II, as well as Division III at the end of the season. In addition, we help support the boys and girls annual Make-A-Wish game between New Hampshire and Vermont high school seniors each summer. You can expect the Legends to continue to support hockey in New Hampshire, particularly the future of the sport at the grassroots level. Youth hockey, through Matt Roy, current president of New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, and serves on our board of directors. Matt, thank you for your support, and congratulations to all your coaches, volunteers, and board members. I'd like to take a moment to personally thank our major sponsors. Our luncheon sponsor, St. Paul's, we thank Rector Kathy Giles, the staff, and the alumni here today. Thank you. Our co-title sponsors, New Hampshire Amateur Hockey Association, many thanks to Matt Roy, their board of directors, and to Warner Mazda, who is Bob Warner, who is not here, but thank you all again for your support. Our social hour sponsor, New Hampshire Distributors. Thank you to Tom Brown, Chris Brown, and the entire management team for their support, which dates back to 2004. I'd ask Tom and Chris to please stand to be recognized. Our rings, and also our ring sponsor, who is New Car Automotive out of Tilton, and Sean Hanlon, thank you for your support. We'd also like to recognize, if you look on the walls, the 17 gold level sponsors, the 13 silver level, and the 7 bronze sponsors. Thank you all for your continued generosity. Our executive director, Jim Hayes, and the entire board worked tirelessly all year to organize these premier events, as well as our Golf Classic in July and the Senior High School All-Star Games in March. Many thanks to our current board members, and if you could please stand, all the board members who are here today, for a round of applause. Everyone, please stand. I'd also like to recognize our past presidents, Dick Boucher, Roland Martin, Tom Champagne, and Renee Leclerc. Please stand. Once again, congratulations to our class of 2022 and our honored team, Kimball Union Academy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and we have some proclamations from the State House. First of all, from Governor Sununu, State of New Hampshire, by His Excellency Christopher T. Sununu, Governor, citation, be it hereby known that I, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, join with my fellow citizens in extending my personal best wishes and sincerest congratulations to Kimball Union Academy boys and girls hockey teams, who are recognized by the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey at the 2022 New Hampshire Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony. These teams have shown an incredible commitment to hockey, and their contributions to the sport are important. On behalf of the citizens of New Hampshire, I commend the Kimball Union Academy boys and girls hockey teams for their hard work, dedication, and teamwork. Signed, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor, October 23rd, 2022. And a resolution from the New Hampshire Senate. Be it known that the New Hampshire Senate extends its congratulations to Kimball Union Academy boys and girls hockey teams in recognition of their excellent history and accomplishments. And be it further known that the New Hampshire State Senate extends its best wishes for continued success. Signed, Senator Kevin Kavanaugh, District 16, October 23rd, 2022. Lou D'Alessandro usually reads those and reads them a lot better than I did, but congratulations to Kimball Union Academy. And we call to the stage once again John Norman and the head men's hockey coach at Kimball Union Academy, Tim Whitehead.
All right, thanks. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ken. Happy to be here. I'd like to recognize some folks that came with us from Kimball Union Academy. First off, I'd like to thank, again, Ken and Jim Hayes in particular. When our daughter gets married, if you'd like to be the wedding planner, you got the job. This guy's unbelievable, unbelievable. Really, you should be inducted into this Hall of Fame. The work you do, it's really impressive. I really mean that. So thank you for all the work you've done. Definitely like to thank the folks that came with us. First off, the coach of our 96 and 97 girls championship, New England championship team, both Lori Charpentier and Chip Audette. So Chip is here representing that, so thanks for coming. And Bob Blood, class of 74, also UNH, played with Tommy Moulton and Bruce Crowder and the whole gang there. He's a class of 74, and he's the one who nominated us. Thanks very much, Bob. And Peter Connolly, who played with Bob in 74. Thanks for coming. And our former headmaster of 17 years, Mike Schaefer, great friend of ours. And he and Gail, thank you for coming, Mike. And then from the 82 championship team, the first New England championship for prep school hockey was Bob Fitzgerald, class of 82, is here representing that team. And Woody Haskins, the coach, couldn't be here. Unfortunately, his house got gutted on Sanibel Island. So he and his wife are down there gutting the house. Also, our athletic trainer over the last 25 years, Bob Hiak. Thank you for coming, Bobby. And New Hampshire legend Rich Ryerson sitting next to him. Rich still quarterbacks our power play from the stands, so I appreciate that, Rich. Dartmouth alum. And Scott Barry, class of 81. And as Woody always tells me, they didn't have a New England championship in 81. If they did, he said the 81 team is actually maybe even better than 82. So Scott, thanks for coming. Ray Jakes couldn't make it, but he wishes he's here. Our women's coach now, Sam Fatorik, St. A's alum and 17-year pro. We're very fortunate that he's running our women's program now, so Sam is here. Thank you so much. And then my two favorite guys here, Matt Underhill and Brian Harris. I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of great coaches over the years, one of whom is here today, and Bruce Crowder, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. But this is, again, been lucky to work with so many great coaches. This is my absolute favorite staff. These guys are amazing, the work they do. It's really, really impressive. But I do want to say a word about Bruce. I didn't know he was going to be here, but him and Lucy. But I honestly don't think I would still be coaching if it wasn't for Bruce. That was my first real job. I was 2 years at Middlebury, 1 year at Maine with Coach Walsh, and then Bruce, for some bizarre reason, hired me down there, and really the best person and coach I ever worked with, and I really appreciate that. Again, those 5 years, Dean and I think back a long time. That's where I met my wife, and Bruce and Lucy and Dean and I, we'd be down at that 99's restaurant, and those were just great times, and that's how I learned to coach, right there, and how to be a real leader. And so Bruce means the world to me. I do want to say one thing about Jim Hayes. I complimented him, but so when teams get honored, I guess he has this tradition where he comes and coaches on the bench with, like, the team that gets honored. You know, Jim's looking at me like, what are you talking about? No, true story. So Jim came on the bench. I guess he did this with Exeter, St. Paul's, I'm not sure. But anyway, he came on the bench with us, and so it was interesting. I figured, hey, here's a guy, Concord, Budmen, Concord High School, you know, great hockey guy. So we're like, hey, jump on the bench, and we're playing some team from out of New Hampshire, so he could root for us, no problem. So it was a lot of fun. And I just wanted to share some of his thoughts as he was helping us coach the game. So pretend right now Kenny is Jim standing behind Brian and Matt and I, and he was, you know, watching our team play, and at first he didn't say anything, and then as the game went on, he started getting a little more animated. So if this is the defensive zone for us, and you're Jimmy, or let's say I'm Jim now, and this is the neutral zone, okay, and this is the offensive zone over where the UNH guys are over here, David, right? He's in the offensive zone, even though he's a goalie. Joe, you're in the offensive zone too. So, all right, you got the scene, defensive zone, neutral zone, offensive zone. Coach Hayes joining us. And again, he was quiet for the first period or so. Second period, a little more animated. And then in the third period, Matt and Brian and I were kind of looking around what's going on, because this is what we were hearing behind us. He really jumped on board. He was like, so D-zone, he was be like, get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And then it would come in here. Get it in, get it in, get it in, get it in. Then it'd be, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in over, keep it in. Yeah, yeah. Hustle back, hustle back, hustle back. Get it out, get it out, get it out. Just get it out, get it out. Get it in, get it in, get it in, get it in, boys. Get it in. Keep it in, keep it in, keep it in. And then the whistle would blow me, be like, thanks, Jim. Good advice there. True story. That's a true story there. True story. Like it happened yesterday, Brian, right? I mean, we were driving down going, oh my God, remember that day, night, whenever that was? Okay, I've talked enough. We have a video, which I think everyone, at least from our age, can relate to. Hopefully, Brian, we figured out a way to do it, right? It's only a 3-minute video, and then I'll get out of the way. It's really neat. It's a student of KUA who put this together in 2018. He's a kid named Jan Shirkaman from Russia. Didn't play hockey, just a nice kid that we had all befriended, and a really neat kid. And Mike, you probably remember this. He put together this video. I didn't even know he was doing it. We didn't know. Every once in a while he'd come down with a camera and we're like, oh, it's kind of neat. And it's a 3-minute video, and he found snapshots from the archives from the 1940s, 50s, outdoor rink. So the story of KUA from a pond all the way up to Acreston Marina. It's really neat. It's 3 minutes. I hope you enjoy it. And again, thanks to Ken, Jimmy, thank you really. I know I was picking on you there, but thank you so much. And John, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Whitehead, and each of today's inductees and Kimball Union Academy will receive the Governor's citation and the State of New Hampshire resolution from the State Senate from Kevin Kavanaugh. I do want to mention that we were already having lunch, and I know you're enjoying it, and I do want to mention we have a video coming up of the 1932 Winter Olympics, to be shown in just a moment or two. It was donated by George Chase. George's son George is with us today, and there are 28 Kimball Union logos under 28 chairs here in this room. Now, if you have a Kimball Union Academy logo, please bring it up to the side of the stage at the conclusion of today's event. So now continue to enjoy a great meal here at the Grapponi Center, and we'll be recognizing the legends in just a few minutes.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to make a couple of announcements. One is on December 10th, in Berlin, New Hampshire, there is a room that is dedicated to the New Hampshire hockey legends. Berlin has 40 members that are part of this Hockey Hall of Fame, and on December 10th, they have a grand opening for a room that is being dedicated for this group and for all future inductees from Berlin. So if anyone has the opportunity, it will be a momentous event in Berlin, and they would certainly appreciate anyone who can attend. I also want to take a moment here in remembering our Hall of Fame teammates who passed in the last year. Rod Blackburn, who has been a major contributor to this room that is being dedicated to the members from Berlin. Rod Blackburn, Don McKinnon, Dick Ryerson, Harvey Smith, as well as another hockey friend and former board member, Jay High. We will miss you all. Thank you.
Time to recognize the legends of the Hockey Hall of Fame in attendance here today. And again, we also want to welcome the family members of the Hall of Famers who have passed away. We'll start off to my right, and if you're introduced, when you're introduced, just stand up, give a little wave so people know where you are and who you are. And we'll start with, off to my right, Rick Middleton, Bruce Crowder. You've met John Normand, who's sitting right out here. Leo Gould. Ron DiGregorio. Bob Gaudette. Bruce Valley. Taylor Chase. Frank Roy, Dick Boucher, Dick Roy, Peter Mayer, Dana Barban, Mark Evans, Rich Ryerson, Andre Prefontaine, Brian Murphy, Bill Matthews, Renee Leclerc, Pierre Belanger, Merrill Fay, Jim Tufts, Gary Bishop, Duncan Walsh, Bruce Parker, Roger Letourneau, and Steve Murphy. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Congratulations. We have a great group of legends in the building here this afternoon. And now let's meet our featured speaker for the day, a member of the class of 2006 of the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. Born and raised north of the border, he came to the United States in 1960, and not surprisingly, brought his skates. He has touched the lives of countless youth and junior hockey players from throughout North America, from New Brunswick to New Hampshire to Florida. As a player, a coach, a scout, he has made his mark as a great judge of talent. And this is the man who originally talked Harry Sinden into moving Boston Bruins training camp from Canada to Fitchburg, Massachusetts. And ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Hall of Famer Leo Gould.
Thank you very much, Ken. I want to welcome all the new inductees today, and I'm going to tell you some stories about the Bruins training camps every year, which I had for 5 years. Number one, can everybody hear me? I guess so. So this is my journey starting around in 1970. I was connected with a guy by the name of Floyd Smith, Murray Oliver, and they called me and they wanted to run some hockey schools in the summer because they didn't get paid much, so they wanted to do some schools to make a few bucks here and there and extra in the summer. So I got hooked up with them, became the assistant director of that, and we ran like 5 hockey schools throughout the summer, so for 5 weeks. And my first experience was a hockey school in a small town in northern New Brunswick called Trackety, New Brunswick. It was a small fishing village. The town was run by a priest, Father Dion, and he ran everything. He got the Irvings to build a rink in that little town, and he just did everything you can imagine. So anyway, it was back in the days when hockey was really crazy at that point in time. So we got in there on a Saturday, and Father Dion greeted us with a Batmobile full of booze. It was a pretty good start for the week. So anyway, he had us come to church on Sunday morning and introduced everybody, every one of us in church. And we went from there. So Monday and Tuesday, we started the school. We had like 100 kids and did the school for the week. On Wednesday, we had a lobster cookout. And after the cookout, obviously, there was one hotel in the town and one little bar. So we kind of spent a lot of time at the little bar. So we ended up, we were going to go to the bar, and we said to Father Dion, Father, you got to come with us to the bar. Father Dion with his French accent, oh, no, I can't go over there. He says, that's not good for the priest. I said, that won't hurt you. You got to come with us. So we finally convinced Father Dion to come with us to the bar. So we get to the bar, and we're telling stories, and the place was packed because there's a lot of NHL guys there that were running the school, so it's a pretty busy place. So we started saying to Father, you want to have a beer? We want to have a beer. Come on, Father. No, I can't do that. You know I can't drink. He says, that's not good. The people will know that, and they'll be talking about it. And so we kept bugging him, and finally he said, well, maybe I'll have one. What are you going to have, Father? I think I'll have a double whiskey. So we got Father going pretty good on the double whiskey, and 11 o'clock at night, Father Dion says to me, and I speak French and English, so he says, Leo, will you come with me and follow me home? I says, you're sure you can drive? So, oh, yeah, he says, I can drive. He says, just follow me, make sure I can get home. It's about 5 minutes down the road. So off we go, and we're driving down the road, and he's driving a big Chrysler. I'll never forget it. It was gold-colored Chrysler. We pulled into the church parking lot, and the house where we lived was right there, and he's going about 15 miles an hour. All of a sudden, boom, he hits the house. I go, oh, my God. So I jump out of the car, and I go check. And I said, Father, what happened? So I don't know. He said, I think I fall asleep. So and he had a maid that lived there. She comes flying out the door. She's going, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I think Father fell asleep and hit the thing. So she gets him in the house, gets him to bed. So next morning we were at the rink at 7:30. No Father Dion unlocked the rink. He, like I said, he did everything. So I said to Floyd, I said, I'll go over and check on him at the house and see how he's doing. And if he can't come, I'll get the keys. We'll get in. So I ride over to the house, and I go to the door and knock on the door, and the maid comes to the door, and I said, where's Father Dion? She says, he's at the rink, I think. I said, no, his car's still here. He hasn't come yet. So let me go check on him. So she goes up and checks, and of course he comes to the top of the stairs. He looks like death warmed over. And he's in these long johns, the old long johns we used to wear when we played hockey, the one-piece long johns, right? I said, Father, you okay? He said, I think I oversleep. I said, yeah, I think so. I said, give me the keys, we'll get the thing going. You can come over a little later. So I went, we got the rink going, we got the school going again, and Father shows up about noontime, hung over like you read about. I mean, so it was a great experience, our first year in Tracadie, New Brunswick. 1972, or 1971, before I got to Bruins, I had a team called the Springfield Kings come and train with me. They were the American League franchise for the LA Kings. A guy by the name of Gary Deneen, who was a well-known hockey coach, good player and stuff. And so I brought them in to train with me in Fitchburg before the Bruins came. So they had about 52 guys, and of course the American Hockey League didn't do it the way the NHL did it. So I had to make arrangements to get them fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And my father-in-law owned a catering company, and he was kind of a guy that was so proud, and he did everything just so well. So he fed them for 2 or 3 days, and about the third day, he gave them corned beef and hash. And these guys had never experienced corned beef and hash. So now they started calling him Rin Tin Tin. So every day when he'd come to feed them, they'd say, hey, Rinny, you got any more of that dog food for lunch today? So anyway, that was kind of, so anyway, at the end of that, they had a kind of a get-together with all the players and the coaches and everything. They were leaving town. So one night we were playing Monopoly, and I never went home. So my wife said to me, where you been? I says, well, I played Monopoly with the guys all night. So at the end of the day, at the end of the thing, they presented my father-in-law with a plastic plate with a little dog poop on it, and all the boys had signed it for him, to Rinny from the boys. And they presented me with a Monopoly game for the New England Monopoly champ. So that was pretty interesting. The next year, of course, I had to kick them out of there and bring the Boston Bruins in. I got Harry Sinden and got the boys, and they came up and seen the facility, and they said, yeah, we'd love to come up here and train. And of course, every NHL team trained in Canada at that point in time. So we changed the revolution as far as what was going on in hockey. So after that, every other team in the U.S. trained in U.S. after that first year. So that was in 1972, and they had just won the Cup in 71. So it was pretty interesting. Bep Whitlam was the coach. It was pretty quiet for the first couple of years. Then we ended up with a guy, new coach, Don Sherry. And that was an experience everybody will remember if you were involved. And Ricky Middleton, of course, Ricky came in 2000, what was it, 6, right? Yeah. So Ricky came in back then, but anyway, we had Sherry, and Sherry was a piece of work, let me tell you. So he comes to see me before training camp, and he says to me, I'd like to put a big punching bag in somewhere, because he says, I'd like to work out. So I said, oh, no problem, we can do that. And then we had a huge medical room, and put this punching bag and hung it from the ceiling, and I never saw Don use it or anything, but we're into training camp and stuff, and about 3 days into training camp, Don Sherry hollers, Leo! I can hear him from down the ice. My office was right above, so I go down and said, what's the matter, Don? He said, you need to change that light there, that light bulb. I said, yeah, no problem. After practice, I'll change it. He said, what are you doing with my rookies? You taking them out drinking at night? He says, you know, they have an 11 o'clock curfew. He says, Craig, they can't skate. They're dead out here. He says, you must be taking them out. I said, no, Don. I said, Cashman told them if they wanted to impress you, that they had to punch that bag in the morning and get ready to go on the ice. And I said, the rookies never went on the ice till like 11 o'clock in the morning, so they'd be in there at 8 o'clock in the morning just beating the heck out of that punching bag, one after the other. I said, yeah, that's the problem. Cash has got them in there beating the hell out of that bag. And that's why they're not doing a very good job on the ice. So anyway, he gets Cash over there, and he gives him a hard time, and lo and behold, the rookie stopped beating on the bag. Then Wayne Cashman, Cash was kind of the leader of the pack. So Cash had some false teeth, and he puts them in a cup, puts them up overhead. Of course, we had guys cleaning the room. They never looked in the cup, and they threw his teeth out. Threw his teeth in the dumpster. So we go to the dumpster got dumped. So Cash is crazy. He's going to a wedding or something on the weekend, and he needs a pair. And he's, what am I going to do for my teeth? So I called a friend of mine, Dr. DiGeronimo, and DiGeronimo fixed him up and got him a set of teeth so he could go to the wedding. And then Of course, Phil Esposito, of course, they love to play games with Phil. Phil got a brand new pair of Lang skates, and the old timers will know what Lang skates are, but they had an inline boot that you put in your skates. And Espo had been just so excited about his new skates, he couldn't wait to use them. They fitted him and stuff, and that night Cash goes out and buys 2 fish at the fish market, puts them in his boots. Espo comes in the next morning, he could not use those skates. They were just so awful. So it was always one thing or another. And then another thing that happened to Espo, the boys put some atomic bomb in his jockstrap. And of course, he kept saying, I don't know where's that, who's using that atomic bomb? Nobody said a word. So of course they had their one-piece long johns on, so nothing. He puts his cup over his long johns, all his equipment, and he goes out on the ice and he starts sweating. Espo climbed over the glass, because nobody was at the door, climbs over the glass and in the shower, and he's taking a shower, skates on, hockey equipment and everything, trying to get rid of that atomic bomb. And it was just an amazing thing, one day, one thing after another. Then I got a call from Bobby Orr's brother, who coached the Binghamton Dusters. The Binghamton, New York Dusters was an American Hockey League team, and the guy owned a car dealership and owned a helicopter, fleet of helicopters. They said, we're coming in this afternoon to look at some of the guys that they're going to cut. Where can we park? We said, well, when you're flying down over the Civic Center, you'll see the lower parking lot. I said, that's a place for you to park, because up on the upper one is where everybody else parks. So about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my secretary said, I don't know what's going on. There's rocks flying and dust and going. I get out and look. They put the helicopter between the 2 buildings, 100 feet apart. It's a big Huey. I go out. I say, you guys can't leave that thing there. I said, get out, whoever's coming. So 3 guys get out of the helicopter and they come in. They watch the thing. And every afternoon, we used to go to a place called King's Corner. I don't know if Ricky would remember that place or not. But anyway, King's Corner was a bar, and the boys, you know, they'd have a few brews. Wasn't no working out. Nobody worked out to get ready to play. They did this is their workout. So anyway, I get over there about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Kenny Hodge says to me, we're going into Derek Sanderson's place in Boston. Him and Namath owned a bar in Boston, and I said, oh, who's going? They said, oh, 4 or 5 of us. I said, how are you going? They said, we're going in the helicopter. I said, I'm not going in the helicopter. I said, I've been here since 4 o'clock. The guy's got 3 beers waiting for him every time I walk by him, and he's going to fly the helicopter to Boston. I ain't going. So I didn't go. So they did. They flew it, parked it right down in between the wires and everything, put it in a Bunny Club parking lot, closed the bar, drove them back. They flew back to Fitchburg, dropped the guys off, and they flew back to Binghamton. So, I mean, some of the crazy stuff that they did today, obviously, you couldn't do that stuff today. And then we had a hockey game. Boston was playing New York Rangers, an exhibition game. No referees show up. So John Carlton, who used to be Harry Sinden's assistant, comes to me. He says, who can we get to referee the game? I said, well, I can probably referee, and I can get my son, 15 years old at the time, and another guy to referee the game. So sure enough, we did the game, and a fight breaks out with O'Reilly, and I think it was Vic Hadfield at the time. So Mike puts his whistle in his pocket, and he's going in the corner to break up the fight, and he hits a stick and falls down, knocks everybody down. I gave him each a double minor, and that was the end of that. So it was a pretty wild experience to be able to do an NHL exhibition game. Then I get a call from Emil Francis, and Emil Francis said, we're playing the Bruins in a first round of the playoffs, and we want to hide from all the press. Can you put us up and let us practice? I said, sure, no problem. So we made arrangements, picked them up at the airport with a bus on a Sunday night, brought them to put them up at the Holiday Inn, brought them, and they practiced on Monday, and they said, we don't want no press, your press or anybody. He said, Tuesday morning, if you want to bring all your press in, local press, we can do that. So we did. And I get a call on Tuesday morning from a guy from the New York Times. He said, I understand that you got the Rangers there. I said, no. I said, the Bruins train here. The Rangers don't train here. I says, they're playing in Boston tonight. He said, no, I know they're there. He says, I know they've been hiding and stuff. So anyway, he comes up about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This guy comes in from the press. He says, where's the Rangers? I said, they're in Boston. They're playing tonight. So anyway, he wrote an article about this little hick town of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and how we hid the New York Rangers for for 2 days before they started their program. So it was pretty interesting, pretty cool. This is another great story. Ace Bailey. Ace was a class act, got killed in the towers, phenomenal guy. And Ace was playing for the Washington Capitals at the time. Tommy McVie was the coach, and Tommy was with Boston for a while. But anyway, Tommy was a physical fitness guy, Air Force guy, and he really wanted these guys to be in shape. So he sends a book out to all his players coming to camp, about this thick, of summer exercises and workouts and stuff to do. So anyway, lo and behold, training camp comes, and all the young kids are there, and Ace was always in great shape. So Ace just blew everybody away when it came to all the physical fitness and stuff. And he said, Tommy said to the kids and everybody there, he says, you know, look at Ace. He says, here's a guy, he's going towards the end of his career, and he's still working hard, and that's what you guys need to do to really stay in shape and get to play in the NHL. If you want to, you've got to do stuff like this, and if you don't, you're probably never going to make it. So Tommy, Ace, said, yeah, I use that book every day. He said, I had a beer keg in the cooler, and it wasn't quite high enough, so I put the book underneath the beer keg, and I used that thing every day. So it was amazing. So it really gets you in shape when you do that stuff. So it's pretty cool stuff. Probably the last part of it is Timmy Schaller, which probably a lot of you guys know. Timmy played for me as a junior for my Huskies team in Fitchburg, or in Tingsboro, and Timmy went to Providence College, and then he had like 7 teams that offered him a contract, and he'd call me and say, what do you think? I said, well, who's going to offer you places? And he says, the Buffalo Sabres. Well, Tommy, Buffalo Sabres had a pretty good group of guys there, and they had Danny Flynn and Teddy Nolan were the coaches, and they had recruited him, so they knew him. I said, maybe you should go to Buffalo, they'll take good care of you there. So lo and behold, he does. He goes there, and he goes to Rochester and playing for the Rochester Americans and stuff. And I get a call on a Saturday morning from Danny Flynn saying, we're going to bring Timmy up to play today against Montreal. We're playing in Montreal. He says, call his parents. So I called his parents, and I said, do you know what's going on? They said, well, we know he's getting called up. We don't know if he's going to play or not. I said, yeah, he's definitely going to play. I said, so you guys should head to Montreal. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. So they get in their car, and they're driving to Montreal, and they called me. They said, what are we going to do for tickets? I said, oh, no problem. There'll be tickets that we'll call. You won't have to worry. You'll be all set. So about half an hour later, I get a call from Danny Flynn. He says, call the parents back and tell them to stay at the best hotels. Go out and have it at the best restaurants, because we pay for their expenses for their first game. So in the NHL contract for his first game, they pay all your expenses. So anyway, Timmy ended up playing against Montreal. It was 2-1 game with 59 seconds to go. They put Timmy out in Buffalo zone to take the face off, and Buffalo ended up winning the game 2-1. So it was a pretty fun experience for him and everybody else that was involved with Timmy. And over the years with scouting, I scout for the Moncton Wildcats. I owned Fredericton Red Wings in Canada as a junior A team. I've owned a team called the Wallace Wallopers in Fitchburg and a team called the Tingsboro Huskies, and probably had 25 players that have played in the NHL. And Corey Crawford, who played for us, Brad Marchand, Barbachev, who plays for St. Louis Blues right now, Matthew Snyder, who's the head of the union for Players Union, Timmy Schaller, Connor Garland from Scituate, Mass. I brought him up to Canada. He just signed a $25.4 million contract with Vancouver Canucks. Phil Bourque, who is the radio announcer now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So it's been a phenomenal hockey experience, and there's a lot of stories I could tell you, but they're not probably fit for this group. And it'd be fun just a bunch of guys to sit around sometime and just tell stories, because there's so many stories and there's so much stuff that goes on in the hockey world, and it's so different today than it was back then. I mean, when in the NHL back then, there was nobody really working out, nobody getting in shape, and it was just a good old boys fun network, and they played hockey, they had fun, and they didn't get paid a lot of money, but I think the experiences that they had, they wouldn't change for what's going on today. So I thank you very much, and appreciate your time, and let's go NHL. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo Gold. Outstanding, as always. And don't forget to stick around after the induction ceremonies for the group pictures of all the legends here and the new inductees. So stay with us following the induction ceremonies here today. We're now going to announce the inductees to the class of 2022, the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame. This inductee is from Rochester, New Hampshire, and is USA Hockey's national goaltending coach. He spent 3 decades as a Division I college assistant, and his teams reached 5 Frozen Fours with stops at UNH, Wisconsin, Miami of Ohio, the University of Denver, and Dartmouth during his career. He coached 10 Hobey Baker Award finalists in his career. And please welcome to the class of 2022, Coach David Lasan.
Thank you, Ken, for that introduction. I had an opportunity to reacquaint with many of you here today, and I appreciate a lot of your kind words. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to introduce some of the people that are here with me today. Over here to my right, I have my sister Carol and her husband Mark, my sister Cheryl and her daughter Allie. At this table over here, I have my brother Ken and his wife Lee. And I also have my good friends from Dover, the Banduverses, Paul and Carolyn, Gary and Janice, and my good friends from Rochester, Bruce Watton and Joe Zaromskis. It really means a lot to me that you are here. So understanding how this induction process works, I want to thank those responsible for forwarding my name to the Legends of Hockey Committee, and for that committee believing that that nomination was worthy of consideration. Fully mindful of the many coaches who have had a far greater impact on hockey in this state than I, it is indeed humbling and truly an honor to be here. I'd especially like to thank Jim Hayes for all the logistical work you have done. Your efforts are appreciated and go a long way in making this a special occasion for myself and all the inductees. So why and how did this 39-year coaching thing all begin? The why is simple. I grew up a teacher, in its simplest forms, coaching is teaching. I truly believe it to be one of life's most rewarding professions, and I've had the good fortune to work for and with some of the very best at that craft. I marveled at how each of them, in their own way, communicated and challenged, motivated and managed, built relationships and inspired, listened and led. To a coach, they possessed a passion for preparation, a passion for competition, a passion for people, and a passion for the game. Over the years, I have learned much from many. So to Bork and Bonnet, Clausen and Carl, Darnell and Four, Gwozdecki and Gaudet, Housley and Hastings, Cullen and Kemp, Mazzolini and Muse, Miller and Motzko, Montgomery and McCloskey, Nightingale and Sereno, Sauer and Sandelin, Taylor and Tortorella, and last but not least, you, Millie, here's to you. I'm grateful to all of them for showing confidence in my abilities and providing me the opportunity every coach seeks when part of a staff, a forum to teach, the freedom to grow, and an opportunity to make a difference. So how did it all begin? Interestingly enough, it began my senior year at Providence College, where my work-study job was that of a student coach for the women's team under John Marchetti. I was able to apply a lot of what my goalie coach with the men's team, Bob Belmore, taught me, and with the stellar play of goalie Sue Mussey, that 1984 team lost but one game in the regular season to Northeastern and went on to beat UNH in the championship game. So when I think about the state of New Hampshire and how it shaped my coaching resume, I want to recognize the impact the city of Rochester and the towns of Hanover and Durham have played. It was Rochester where my passion for hockey began. I played and coached both in the Rochester Youth Hockey Association and at Spalding High School, and it's here I learned the importance of what my father taught me as a young baseball player. Practice is important, hard work works, play the game the right way, and have fun. All advice applicable to coaching. And I often look up to heaven and thank him for that. There are two other individuals with Rochester ties I would like to thank as well. The first is the late Dr. Richard Roy, who, because of his contributions to hockey in the Lilac City, is himself a Legend of Hockey inductee. I, along with many in the Seacoast, appreciated all he did to support a local venue that allowed us to play and coach the sport we loved. Another interesting fact about Dr. Roy is he was my pediatrician. And when I was in second grade, he convinced my mom that I needed to take Ritalin. And I did it for 6 years. I'm not so sure I want to thank him for that, but I do thank him for everything he did. The second is John Clausen, who in 1977, when the district made the decision to bring back high school hockey, was hired. As many in this room know, his coaching ability and leadership made Spalding a formidable team in this state for a number of years. I look back with gratitude for the 7 years we worked together and for all the support you gave me, first as a player and then as a young coach right out of college. And I appreciate the fact that you and Gay are here today. It was Hanover I spent the last 6 years of my 32-year collegiate career, and where I had the privilege to work alongside one of hockey's good guys, a dear friend and a New Hampshire Legend inductee himself, Bob Gaudette. Having worked many USA Hockey district camps with Coach G, we often talked about someday working together, and in 2014 that opportunity presented itself. I am forever grateful to him for allowing me to continue my labor of love at his beloved Dartmouth College. There was no one more passionate and caring about his teams than Coach G. He understood the true purpose of collegiate athletics, and he worked every day to instill comprehensive excellence in his teams. I have a deep fondness for him and his wife, Lynn, especially for the support they gave me when my mom was in the hospital in the weeks and months after her passing. It was Durham, a town I have now called home for more than 20 years, where it all started in 1988. In April of that year, at the Frozen Four in Lake Placid, Double B, Bob Delmore, introduced me to Bob Cullen. That introduction eventually led to a few phone calls, a couple summer meetings, and Cully deciding to take a chance on a no-name high school coach with a goalie background and give me my shot. Little did I realize it would be the start of 32 amazing years at the collegiate level. It is not lost on me the role that Coach Emili played in Cully hiring me full-time, and I always wondered why. In my 17 years working with Coach Emili, he continually reminded his staff of the importance of getting the right guys, not necessarily the best guys. In 1989 and again in 1997, I know I was not the best guy for the job, but for some reason, Coach Emili believed I was the right guy. I can't begin to thank him enough for the confidence, trust, loyalty, and friendship he showed me then and continues to show me to this day. And much like the Gaudettes, he and Rose were always there for me and my family, especially my mother. My mother loved Coach Emili, and it meant the world to her that he and Rose came to the hospital to visit her the day before her passing. As sad as that was, it speaks to what Coach Emili and Rose have always been about: family. I also want to recognize two other coaches, both who I'm sure are behind Heaven's bench, who played a significant role in my coaching career. The first is Jeff Sauer, the legendary Colorado College and Wisconsin coach and a member of the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Working with him for 3 years at Wisconsin, I never fully realized the depth of the person until after I left Madison. He was a humble giver of his time for many causes, none more so than the American Hearing Impaired Hockey Association. For over 35 years, he would travel to Chicago to volunteer at the Stan Mikita School for the Hearing Impaired, and in 1992, he asked me to join him, and for the past 30 years, it has become a summer must for me. He served as head coach of many of our deaf national teams until his sudden passing in February 2017, and just a few months later, in his memory, I was proud to be on the bench when our deaf national team won the gold medal at the World Deaf Ice Hockey Championships. And I appreciate, we have a few people from the Hearing Impaired School that are here, the Wanowskis, Ken and Karen, Ricky McGahee, and Don Pulaski. Thank you for being here. The second is Tim Taylor, the longtime Yale coach and two-time men's Olympic coach. As director of player personnel for the U.S. national junior team, He convinced the late Jimmy Johansson to bring me on board as the goalie coach for the 2013 U.S. World Junior team. The success of that team eventually led to other World Junior coaching opportunities where I worked with the likes of David Quinn, Mike Hastings, and current Assistant Executive Director of USA Hockey, John Van Beesbrook. Last year, when the NHL made the decision not to participate in the Olympics, it was Beezer the GM, Quinny the head coach, Hasty the assistant, that asked me to join the staff for the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. Words and/or pictures can't adequately describe that experience, and to forever be known as an Olympian is truly humbling and the greatest honor of my life. In closing, the sport that brings us all here today has been very, very good to me. I have traveled the world, witnessed thousands of players grow, watched young and old alike realize their dreams, seen competition bring smiles and yes, tears to the faces of many, been motivated by passion and purpose, and made lifelong friends. I remind myself every day of the importance of low ego and high output, and I know I have not been perfect, but hope, as every coach does, that I have made a difference. So to all the players, coaches, support staff, parents, and fans I have worked with or come to know this day, that ring, this induction, I share with you. This truly has been a great day for hockey in the Granite State. And again, thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for making it one I, my family, and my friends will remember.
Our next inductee is from Merrimack, New Hampshire. He's been the head coach of women's hockey at Northeastern University since 2008 and has led his team to the NCAA tournament 6 times, including one championship game in 2020-21. When he was named National Division I Coach of the Year in 2020 and 21. And since 2005, he has also been a member of the USA Hockey coaching staff. Please welcome to the class of 2022, Coach David Flint.
First off, I wish they gave us a heads up on the goal horn at the beginning there. Being a former goalie is a bit traumatic. If they had red lights going in here, I probably would have been out of here. So first off, I'd like to thank the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for this tremendous honor. And secondly, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees. I'm truly humbled to be recognized with this class. It's really a special moment for me. I'll be honest, I got the call, I think it was late spring, and I had a message, and I thought it was, I thought they were just looking for a quote maybe for a former player of mine that might be getting inducted. I was pleasantly surprised when they told me it was me that was being inducted. So it made me kind of look back at 45 years of hockey, and between playing and coaching, and as I thought about it, I reflected on it. That was the first time ever in my playing and coaching career that I really looked back and thought about it. For me, what made me stay in hockey this long? Why have I been so involved in it? And for me, it's the love and passion for the game that I've developed while playing and coaching. And I thought, like, how did I develop this love and passion for the great sport of hockey? And I thought, was it a specific team I played on? Was it a coach that I had? Was it a tournament maybe my team won? Was it a goal I scored, or a game-saving save I made? And I thought, those things probably contributed to it. But I think the biggest thing for me, it was the unwavering support and dedication and love that I received from my parents. And for them, they didn't have the opportunity to play sports growing up. And they gave myself and my brother every opportunity to do what we wanted, whether it was sports or other activities. And I still remember at age 6, they asked me if I wanted to play hockey. And I remember with my dad watching, the Bruins on Channel 38, black and white TV. So I knew what hockey was. And I was a kid with a lot of energy. And maybe they should have brought me to your Dr. David and had me on some Ritalin, but putting me out on the ice, I think was a good move. And for me, the only thing I remember very well from that first year of playing hockey is my coach, Mr. London. We had an end of the year banquet, and he got up and he said something about all the players and about the year. And here I'm thinking he's going to say something really, really nice about me and profound. And what he said was, "I know why they put boards in hockey rinks, so David Flint wouldn't end up in the middle of the street." So now you know why I'm being inducted as a coach and not as a player. From that point on, my parents have always supported me no matter what. They let me find my own path. They always made sure I could go to tournaments and camps and that I always had the equipment I needed. They were there when I succeeded, and they were there to support me when I failed, never judging me. Advice was usually given only when I asked. And I still remember the way I got to where I am today in coaching. I went to college for athletic training. A lot of people, I don't know if they know that, but I was a certified athletic trainer. I was at St. Anselm College, and I was finishing up my clinical hours. And Ken Kuzik asked me if I wanted to be his assistant coach. I quickly realized how much more I loved coaching than being an athletic trainer. So for me, I'm at a crossroads in my life now thinking, all right, I can make $2,500 as a hockey coach, or I can become an athletic trainer. And, I remember, so I asked my dad for advice. He said, whatever you do in life, be passionate about it. Make sure when you wake up in the morning, you look forward and enjoy going to work. He said, if you can do that, money doesn't matter. Well, joke was on him, because 5 years later, I was making $5,000 a year and I was living in his basement. But he always supported me. My mother always supported me, and they had me reach my dreams. So, Mom and Dad, thank you very much. I have some more people I'd like to thank that have been such a big part of my life and my career. I'd like to thank my wife, Allison, my children, Paige and Tate. It isn't easy having a husband and a parent that is a coach. The three of you have been there the whole way to support me, and for that, I'm so lucky and grateful. I'd like to thank my amazing friends that are here today for always supporting me throughout my coaching career. I'd like to thank past coaches growing up that played a role in my development as a player and as a person. My current and past players, along with my current and past coaching staffs, I recognize that a coach is only as good as the people he surrounds himself with. Again, thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. I'm so grateful for this honor.
Our next inductee is a native of Concord, New Hampshire, a former player and coach with Concord Youth Hockey and Concord High School. He is the man responsible for creating and organizing one of the great events every year on the Concord calendar, the 1883 Black Ice Pond Hockey Tournament. It's become legendary throughout North America, and it has currently donated well over $500,000 to local community and youth organizations, thanks in large part to the man we welcome to the class of New Hampshire Legends of Hockey 2022. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Chris Brown.
Thank you, Ken. And thank you to the New Hampshire Legends of Hockey for this honor. I wanted to, right off the bat, thank Tom Pancho, employee of mine at New Hampshire Distributors, and his brother-in-law, Bill Chapman, my parents, Margie and Tom Brown, and my wife, Carrie, for bringing my name forward for this induction. I would never have said that I'd been up here to speak in front of this group for my actual induction. But I'm truly humbled and honored. But I'm even more pleased that the Black Ice gets recognized here today. There's no way that this event would have succeeded without the strong backs and dedicated volunteers and our board of directors over the 12 years of the tournament. Thank you to the original core of board of directors. Many of them are here, scattered between here and the bar on the hallway today. Appreciate them in attendance. Past Black Ice President Dan Luker, current board president Joe Shoemaker. And like I said, I couldn't do this without the hundreds of volunteers that have dealt with every weather condition possible in the month of January. We've had 60 degrees, we've had minus 20, we've had rain, we've had blizzards, and most of the time we've been able to get through a great tournament. The volunteer support we've received was amazing. However, the support we've received from local businesses is truly unprecedented. Some businesses were in the hockey community, like the Goulds and Christian Tent. Dozens of others, like the Rowley Agency, Merrimack County Savings Bank, Warren Reno. Several of the sponsors that are on the board here that support the Legends of Hockey have supported Black Ice and truly made this a local community event. I also wanted to thank the Legends of Hockey for their support, that they are our original puck sponsor in 2011 and have really appreciated their support since our beginning. However, I thought I'd touch on a few points of the tournament that you might not know about. Jokingly, I'd have to say that Bruce's son, Scott, if Scott had chosen New Hampshire Distributors to be the beer sponsor of the Pond Hockey Tournament, Pond Hockey Classic in Meredith the first year, Black Ice probably would never have happened. So when that sponsorship and our involvement in Meredith did not happen, we seriously had a conversation about doing the Pond Hockey Tournament in Concord. But where? There was a discussion of hosting it on Turkey Pond, the feeder pond of this pond that in the St. Paul's school. There was the feeder pond of the lower pond where the original hockey game was played. Kimball Pond in Hopkinton, Horseshoe Pond right outside the doors here in Concord, but ultimately White Park was chosen. White Park had a lot going for it. It was central, it was close to downtown, but the City Parks and Recreation Department maintained the park and the ice. We have been truly spoiled having this event at the park. In an ideal year, we'd show up on Thursday morning and have a clean, pristine ice surface, ready for us to take that park over for the weekend. Special thanks to Park and Rec Director Dave Gill, Mayor Jim Boulay, City Councilors Thomas Spell, the City Council and the City Manager Thomas Spell, City Councilors and the park staff for all their support. Now, White Park has a unique story. It is gifted to the city of Concord from the White family. They're the founders of the American Express Company. Well, the Whites were an active member of the temperance movement in the United States. So did this create some unique challenges when we decided to bring an adult hockey tournament to White Park? Certainly did. But for 12 years, we have coexisted, respecting the wishes of the White family. I'd like to thank Bill Matthews, who was here earlier today, former rector of St. Paul's School and Legend of Hockey Hall of Famer himself, who I tapped to help me brainstorm on the ultimate name of what this pond hockey event was going to be called. We discussed ways to honor the rich hockey heritage and history of Concord and St. Paul's. Ultimately, the formal name, 1883 Black Ice Pond Hockey Championship, was created. 1883, for the year the first hockey game played in the United States at St. Paul's, black ice was the color of the first pristine skatable ice of the season. Ultimately, that was a school holiday proclaimed by the rector at the time. Finally, the champions of black ice are given a Hobie Baker stick, a replica stick used in the Hobie Baker era. Year one, we had 5 rinks and 40-plus teams. We've grown the event to have over 100 teams. Black ice is not unique with edgy, sometimes unique and inappropriate team names. Dogs on linoleum, pucking ice, scared hitless, Jack Edwards' teeth, to name a few. Our tournament was a regular on the calendar for former college and pros as well as hacks. However, no other pond hockey tournament had the state's governor play. We want to thank Governor John Lynch for being our biggest fan. Another unique element of this event is the rosters of many of the teams have players that are connected to White Park. It was the place that many of us learned how to skate, sled, play boot hockey, play baseball, or just hang around. So we knew it was a special place. After that inaugural tournament, Black Ice paid for the dredging of the pond to allow us to have 8 rinks on the pond and host over 100 players. Seasons after, we provided the lead gift to build a brand new skate house at White Park that is now the focal point of the park. Our volunteers are not only adults. The event provided the opportunity to solicit local booster clubs to come work and earn money for their sports teams. Each year, we have donated over $10,000 towards a variety of booster clubs for their help at the event. 4 years ago, we were able to create 5 scholarships awarded to graduating seniors of these participating schools and booster clubs. The catch is these students and boosters needed to work and volunteer at Black Ice. We have earmarked scholarships to Pembroke Academy, Bishop Brady, Bow High School, and Concord High School. The Bow Scholarship is dedicated in memory of Dan Duhamel, former Bow resident, Rowley Agency employee, hockey player, coach, and friend. One of the Concord High School scholarships is named in memory of fellow Legend inductee today, Ryan Fruit. We realized the community connection to Black Ice early. However, the first few years, we spent a lot of time and a lot of money trying to market this event. Our desire was to attract spectators to come and enjoy this winter showcase. About 8 years ago, we added youth games to the Black Ice. Thursday Night Lights had 16 teams come play inter-squad pond hockey under the lights. Friday night, we host 100 Learn to Skaters before the fireworks show. And Saturday, we host a dozen Mite teams to play in the Shinny Classic. We realized that inviting local youth hockey programs to participate in the event was bigger than any marketing investment we made. Families came, purchased Black Ice merchandise, watched the adult tournament, and enjoyed all the other activities in the park. We also hope that they can somehow be our Black Icers of the future. Again, I appreciate this acknowledgement and I appreciate the support, again, of the volunteers, my family. I'd still be around with Black Ice, but they realized that I spent a lot of time in January preparing for this tournament to go on. But Black Ice has done exactly what we had intended, to create a citywide event that honored the rich hockey history of Concord. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is being honored posthumously. He was a Concord, New Hampshire native and a three-time state champion with the Concord High Crimson Tide. He was a man who touched the lives of so many young men as the longtime head coach of the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. He made them better players and champions in 2012, but more importantly, he made them better people and taught them life lessons that they will never forget. Please welcome Coach Ryan Frew to the class of 2022 New Hampshire Legends of Hockey. Accepting for Ryan is his dad, Jerry Frew.
Thank you, Ken. I debated on whether to bring a glass of water up to help assist these remarks, but this is a hockey crowd, and I knew nobody in the place would believe that it's actually a glass of water, so I'll do my best. The New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Board of Directors, President Norman, distinguished guests, families, and friends. It's an honor to have been asked by Anastasia and the kids to make these remarks today. They're offered from the perspective that things that I think that Ryan might say. Those of you who knew him knew how much that Ryan enjoyed the socially awkward moment. And so there may be some of those. He had a huge heart, gave huge hugs, and had a hearty and infectious laugh that was distinguishable even in a room this size. He would thank Steve Matthau, Leo Gould, Jim Hayes, the Legends Hall of Fame Committee for this honor. He would say how proud he is to be part of this distinguished group of inductees who have dedicated their lives to making the sport better. He would probably have comments about Chris, both Daves and Tom as well, as he seemed to know anyone who ever held a hockey stick in their hands. He would give a shout out to Rick Vega, who provided him the opportunity to pursue the profession that was indeed his passion. He would probably have something to say about the dedication of the North Rink, which now carries his name, and the awesome Center Ice logo, and voice his gratitude. He would follow it up with some witty quip that would make people laugh. To the other dedicated Tri-Town Ice Arena staff members who are here today, you just know he'd have some stories about you. To those who coached with him, Nick, who has stepped up in his absence to jump on the bench for the Islanders for Q's team, Tony, Frank, and current NCDC head coach Clint. He thanked you for challenging him every day, every game to be at his best. You made him a better professional, better businessman, better person. He thanked you for making him laugh, for your friendships, and watching out for his family. He would give a shout out to Bill Flanagan and the Cyclone organization for being a fierce competitor on the ice and for epitomizing what the hockey community is all about off the ice through the Ryan Frew Memorial Golf Tournament that now benefits hockey families. There's no question he'd have a story or two about his captains. Bennett, Zooks was supposed to be here, and others who are unable to be here today. I might imagine they might have a story or two about him too. He considered himself a player's coach, appreciated each young man who he had the opportunity to coach over the years. He would definitely have a Dunk Walsh, Rene LeClaire, Bob Norton, or Mike Mounsey coaching story to share. He might tell the story about in high school when teammate and Olympian Tara Mounsey took a slap shot, hit him in the knee, and hobbled him for about 2 weeks. He might mention how excited he was when Jimmy Gaudette agreed to come and work with the Monarchs in July of 2020. He would thank the Black Ice Pond Hockey Association for keeping it old school and for the scholarship that you provide in his name each year at Concord High. He might even raise a can of that 603 Black Ice Pond Hockey Ale, crafted with his quote in mind. That was a collaboration between Evan Adams, the Vega family, and Chris Brown. He might even offer a shameless plug to his cousin Zach's Trailside Sugar House, voted #1 by Channel 9 voters in the Best of New Hampshire in 2022. He would acknowledge Zach as the craftsman of the Sin Bin Bar that sat at Tri-Town for 2 seasons, and would tell Zach to continue to dream big, don't ever give up, and kick butt with hiking those 4,000 footers. He would thank those Make-A-Wish captains who inspired him, his players, and the organization with their courage, positive attitudes, outlooks, and resilience in their locker room speeches. Some of those not meant for a mixed audience, and those kids were 7, 8, 9 years old. They each taught us lessons far more important than any game or sport ever could. He would give stick taps to the many billet families of the Monarchs organization over the years, spearheaded at the onset by the efforts of John and Jiffy Buchanan, dedicated and passionate group of hockey fans who opened their doors to strangers. Jesus, it's early for that to happen. Opened their doors to strangers who became forever friends and family. He might have a word for Arnie Bennett because, well, he just loved talking to Arnie Bennett. To the game officials who officiated the games that he coached, he has some comments for sure because those of you who reffed his games knew that Ryan was never short on comments to officials. To Anastasia, Nana. This is the part I thought would really get hard, and it is. He professes love for you, say the years together were much shorter than he ever could have imagined. He would acknowledge what an awesome hockey mom you are, and he'd say, you've got this. To his oldest son, Quentin, Q. He'd say how proud he is of you as a competitor. You're tenacious, you have a great hockey IQ. Keep working hard to achieve your dreams, be the best person you can be. Keep your soft heart, because people need your kindness in their lives. He'd thank you for helping your mom with Seamus and Layla, and wish you a happy 13th birthday for tomorrow. To his middle son, Seamus, he'd say how proud he is of the hockey player that you are becoming, and acknowledge how much you have grown as a person. He'd say how special it was that you thought about spending time on October 5th making bags of supplies to give to the homeless. He'd thank you for helping Mom with Quentin and Layla, and tell you to always work hard to attain your goals and dreams. To Layla, he would say how much he loves you and how happy you made him and your family when you came into our lives December 15th, 2017. You were the apple of his eye. The apple of his eye. No one was happier to be a girl dad than Ryan. Your love and energy brighten every room than that hair. Unfortunately, neither of Ryan's brothers, Jason or Adam, or their families could be here today, but they are extremely proud of Ryan and appreciate the honor bestowed upon him. To his older brother, Jay, he might say, I'm still the only one to hit one out of Memorial Field. He'd tell you he's not shocked at all that you coach baseball, soccer, and do whatever you can to help with football. Then he'd remind you that to coach hockey, you'd have to be able to skate. He would thank you and Elizabeth for stepping up and keeping the cousins close, and he would thank Elizabeth for being such a great source of support. He would definitely have something to say about Lauren, Eli, and Carter, and how much he appreciates them. To Adam, his younger brother, he'd affectionately say, Bud, Grayson's walking now. When's he going to be on skates? Layla was on skates at 23 months. He would also be so proud of Adam as a dad. He might ask Beth about how she's doing, keeping a spotless house with an 18-month-old fingerprints on everything. He would thank Beth for being such a rock-solid support for Adam, and no doubt would have a story or two about exploits of him and Adam in their younger days. To his mother, he would probably say thank you for the rides to the doctor's appointment, the games, your last-minute surprise flight to watch us in the national championship, the text when everyone else was sleeping, understanding my rants about breakdowns and D-zone coverage, calling me out when I needed to hear it, but most importantly, for your unconditional love and support every day of my life. On a humorous note, he'd say, don't forget to remind Jay and Ad, I'll always be your favorite. To everyone in this room, he would say thank you for being part of this special day, and to go from here with a commitment to continue to make a difference and to make life better. As he had been quoted so many times, there's no greater reward in life than knowing you've had a positive impact on someone else's life journey. On behalf of Ryan and his entire family, thank you for this incredible honor.
And our next and final inductee of the day, a native of Danvers, Massachusetts, a longtime resident of the Seacoast here in New Hampshire, and a UNH graduate. He served as a coach, an assistant coach to Rick Middleton, a legend of hockey in New Hampshire and all over. Our next inductee was an assistant coach on the 2002 gold medal winning USA Paralympic sled hockey team. And when Rick chose him as an assistant, Rick Middleton said, I have never met anyone in 6 decades of hockey more passionate about the game. A longtime supporter of hockey here in New Hampshire at all levels, let's welcome Coach Tom Moulton to the class of 2022 New Hampshire Legends of Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. Wow. Well, before I start, my wife will certainly tell you that I'm not a fashionista. When I was out in the hallway today, all of a sudden everybody started walking in with a black shirt, a suit coat, and dungarees, because that's my signature. That's about all I wear. So all of you that dress like me, stand up. There's a lot of them. Anyway, don't worry, this is 24 fonts, only because I can't read anymore. So greetings and good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank my wife, Dana, my friends that took the time out of their Sunday to celebrate this event with me. It means more to me than you know. This hockey's been my life since 8 years old, I guess. The greatest gift that you can give the ones you love is your time. My good friend John Kane traveled all the way from Florida to be here today. Thank you, John. Nelson Hutchins. Where's Nelson? World War II veteran, 99 years old, ran the scoreboard in Rochester, New Hampshire. My good friend from UNH, Tim Burke, who I didn't think was going to be able to make it. He works for the San Jose Sharks as a general manager. So how was he going to fit it in? But he let me in a little secret. He said he's hiding because they're 1-6. That's why he's here. So anyway, thanks to everyone involved in making this a reality for me. In particular, Peter Maher, thank you as the nominating chair for helping make this a reality. And the Legends Board of Directors for voting me in. I really appreciate it very much. Sincere thanks to you all. I was on the board for many years, and they do a great job of promoting the sport, second to none. Jimmy Hayes is the quarterback. Great job, Jim. What an honor it is to be recognized in the sport that I love so much. As you move on in years, your perspective changes, and you realize it's not about the hockey, only about the hockey. It's more about the bonds, friendship, and camaraderie that you have with the ones you played and coached with that makes this sport so special. So it is kind of difficult to take a lifetime of hockey and try to summarize it in 5 minutes, but I'm trying. Trust me, so much I could say. I've had such a tremendous hockey experience in my life, but one of my greatest moments in hockey was coaching the U.S. sled hockey team in 2002 with one of my best friends, Rick Middleton, in Salt Lake City. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rick. The U.S. sled hockey team, their debut was in Nagano. They went 1-3-1. Kip St. Germain, he was on that team. They went 2 years later, they went to the World Championships, finished last, did not win a game at all. Coach left halfway through the tournament, and it was pretty dismal. The U.S. team was probably at the lowest point you could be at, if you think about those things. It was bad, it was ugly, and they were going nowhere. So who in their right mind would want to enter that hornet's nest? Enter Rick Middleton. He recruited me in the parking lot in Hampton at the post office. We ran into each other in 2001. It was one of the best decisions ever made. And again, like I said, it's probably the reason I'm here today. So as we progressed into our training camps, Rick said it was ugly, coyote ugly. Sure, I didn't see the page here. Sorry about that. Hang on. No, that was it. So we decided to review the game tapes in Nagano to give us some insight. We had raw talent, but we had no discipline. And we wanted to make a simple system to break the ponies down to do our best with what we had to work with. We found out the breakaways killed us. Nobody got back. They were totally running, unbridled, running around chasing the puck. So we came up with this brilliant idea, Rick did anyway, that when we set up on the blue line, the minute we lost possession, one guy came back and one guy went to the middle. And we had to wait till the cavalry came back. That's when the change of possession. And that strategy worked very good because when we got to Salt Lake, it did us very well. We had no sense of ourselves on how we would measure up to the competition, but in reality, it was an advantage for us. So now we enter Salt Lake City. The rankings in the tournament went Norway, Canada, Sweden, Japan. To be determined was the 5th slot. To be determined, which ended up being Estonia in the United States. The only reason the United States was even in the tournament is because it was held in the United States. The host country gets a spot, and that's what happened. So to sequence our wins, we beat we beat Japan, beat Canada. So I was saying, wow, this is getting pretty good. We beat Canada, killed them, by the way, 5-0. Norway, defending world champs, we beat them 2-1. Sweden and Estonia, we killed them. We ran the table and won every game. Scored 22 goals and gave up 3. Unheard of with a team that's ranked last, right? And now we're on to the gold. During the tournament, we did become the talk of the Olympic Village. As momentum built after each game, when the bus arrived in the Olympic Village, everyone was there to greet us and cheer us on. We shocked the sled hockey world because where did this team come from? Prior to the gold medal, Rick and I were interviewed on national TV on A&E. There's a big hockey channel. And I never forgot Rick's line when we were being interviewed. Harry K. Smith asked him, he said, so how does it feel to play for the gold medal, Rick? And Rick says, well, the way I look at it, we already got the silver sewed up, which he was right. Pretty cool. Again, not bad for a last place ranked team. I got a few other humorous stories I think I'll share with you. As athletes, we all have rituals and superstitions in hockey. And whatever it is in baseball, they put their glove on, they do this, they do that. In hockey, you do what you do. Rick and I we're obviously in the same room together, and after the last practice before our gold medal game, I called my wife, had one of those Nextel phones, put her on the speakerphone, and she said, oh, I just went down to the room, and like a typical mother, she went in and cleaned the room up for us, and she said she was doing the laundry. And Rick and I freaked out and said, no, we don't want to wash the victory sweat off of Rick's socks. So she had to yank the laundry out. We just got it in time, but it was just a superstition you have, but one of those funny little stories. If you play hockey, you play the sport, you can relate to what I'm saying. Before the gold medal game, to inspire our athletes, we got Mike Eruzione on the phone. In fact, Mike was going to try to be here today, but he couldn't make it. My only claim to fame with Mike is I played high school hockey against him. I was a captain of Danvers, he was a captain of Winthrop, so I knew him long before he became the guy that got the goal in Miracle. So anyway, we call Mike. He went through he was in Las Vegas, he goes through his speech with the guys. We're going, okay, Mike, it's time to end it, let's move. And he finished the speech, and the guys were in awe. They just can't believe that this guy called them to give us some encouraging words before he went on the ice. I look over, and the trainer, Jim Olson, who's a great guy from Minnesota, calls me over, and he's laughing. And I go, what's up? Josh Wirt, our youngest player, 17 years old, went to Jim and said, who's Mike Eruzione? He wasn't even born when Miracle happened. So here we enter the gold medal game. It was the first time that we had been behind in the tournament, went down 1-0. Someone coughed the puck up. I think it was Jack Sanders, but I don't pick on him, but I think it was that. Guy goes in a breakaway and scores. We're down 1-0. We outshot them in the first period, 12-1. Just think about that, right? 12-1 against Norway. And we were down 1-0. And Rick, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it? Joe got 2, right? And that's we went in winning 2-1. We got the third goal, 3-1. And I'm telling you, we are running out of gas. You could see it. I'm on the end of the bench just seeing this thing slipping away. I says, you got to be kidding me. This is a gold medal game. As I told the guys before we went on ice, is if we don't win this game, it's going to suck. And that's my exact words. I'm just trying to get them fired up. So, so anyway, we ended up going to the end of regulation. They tied it up 3-3, and we're saying, oh, what's going to happen now? And I guess they're running out of gas. There was no score in overtime, 10-minute overtime. So now we're going to go to a shootout to determine the winner. I'm on the bench. My 2 daughters, Rachel and Cassie, my little one, 10 years old, is looking down at me. I can't believe, like, I caught her eye, and she goes, Dad, what are we going to do? And like a 10-year-old's eyes, Dad can fix everything, right? I'm just going to wave my hand, we're going to win, we're going to take the gold medal, we're going to go home. No. I said, we're going to try to win, Cassie. Just hang on. So anyway, we go to the shootout, the overtime shootout. I'm telling you, the front page of the Salt Lake Tribune wrote it. I got the copy in my office. It said, Alfred Hitchcock could not have written a better drama, how this thing went out. And so this is the sequence. You got 5 shooters on each side. Everybody alternates. We lost the flip, right, Rick? I think we lost the flip. We had to go first. Our best player, really one of the best players in the world, Sylvester Fliss, figured we're going to go up, 1-0. He missed. He fanned on his backhand. Now Norway goes. They're up 1-0. Then we went. We got a goal. Did we? Yeah, Joe got a goal. Next thing, they go, they get a goal. They're up 2-1. We only got 3 guys left. Our next guy, Chris Mans, who could have had a cup of coffee as he went into the thing, he goes so slow, but he was a hell of a shot. The lefty that Rick picked at the selection camp was incredible. He goes in and nails it. Next guy goes, and he misses. So now it's 2-2, right? With 2 guys on each side to go. And Kip St. Germain, where are you, Kip? Right there. Goes down, which ultimately was the game winner. He got the 3rd goal. They went, they missed. We went, good job, Kip. And the reason I'm telling you this because it was dramatic, believe me, it was nerve-wracking. So now we're up 3-2 with 1 player left to go. Lonnie Hanna from Texas, who did a pretty good job in our practices, misses the net. We could have ended it, would have been over. And then Haglund, I think it was Haglund for Norway, goes down, puts a move on the goalie, shoots, hits the post, goes off to the side, we win. That was it. Incredible. So, I will say this, after the game, the ceremony on the ice, listening to the national anthem, watching your flag on top of everybody else's being raised to the rafters, it was unbelievable. I still today, when I hear the national anthem, I'm right on the ice in Salt Lake, and I have goosebumps. It's incredible. I've been so blessed to be involved with it. So what a moment that was. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I got a hold of Rick, and I said, Rick, we got to memorialize this thing before we die, because it's one of the greatest sports story that nobody knows about, or not many people know about, I should say. So we started thinking about a book. We had a documentary team that followed us. We have about 100 hours of original film. My good friend Bruce Valley, who's here today, is a legend in the media category. He's a great writer. And maybe we'll just do a treatment. We'll give it to ESPN for a 30-30 documentary, and we're done, right? So that, so that to me was what we're going to try to memorialize this thing. And when you look back on it, on the sled hockey thing, we were you have the benefit of looking over your shoulder. We were the spark that lit the fuse that caused the explosion of the sport in the United States. I'm obviously very proud to be a part and involved in that effort that contributed to that sport in our country. Our 2002 team was inducted in the Olympic and Paralympic Hall of Fame in June. The team first, which was great. We were the first Paralympic sport to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Some of the classmates that were with us were Michael Phelps, Lindsey Vonn, Mia Hamm, Michelle Kwan. It was kind of surreal to be in that company. It was the first time that our team saw each other 20 years. In 20 years, we were all together. We had a great time. It was a great team thing. I can tell you that the sport is in good hands for the future. I met Declan Farmer, who's from Florida, and is undoubtedly, Kip, I think I'd say probably the best stud hockey player in the world, undoubtedly. We were down in Philly at the training camp. You and I talked about that. And I got a chance to talk to him. I met him at the Hall of Fame ceremony. And we talked about the history of the sport, because it isn't just about today. You have to remember your past. You got to see where you are today, and how are you going to keep it sustainable for the future? That's kind of like the continuity. I think that's important in anything that you want to do that's worthwhile. And Declan was great. I had an opportunity to tell him about the sport, where it started. He had a real appreciation for what we had done and understood it. The game is so much different than it was 20 years ago. It's just incredibly different. And kind of like we see today in the NHL. I mean, so we talk to my friends, and it's like crazy how nuts it is. You've got to be able to skate or you're out. So, like I said, we started to talk where it is today, where it's going, and we needed to carry on the legacy. I talked about the locker room, because I always like to tell the locker room, because Rick and I had one screwed up locker room. We had a faction in Chicago, and we had the rest of us, and I don't know how we plowed through it, but we got through it. But the locker room was really solid. I saw a documentary with the guys. They all went to Nashville. They worked out together, and you could just see their tightness, and I confirmed it when I talked to them about it. He said, it's great. A few years back, it wasn't. There was these little cliques and factions, and that can, anybody that coaches know that can fraction a team. You got to have a good locker room, a good clubhouse. So that was good to hear. He actually talked about helping other countries become better as the competition is weak and the U.S. is so powerful. What a turn of events in 20 years from what we were and what we've become. Maybe our next stop, there's some talk that USA Hockey, we may get in the Hall of Fame, the team. I don't think it's unreasonable to know that. Who knows? I will tell you this award today for me is by far my favorite. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our talk, and thanks again.
Congratulations to all of our inductees today. What a class, the class of 22 New Hampshire Legends of Hockey.
I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own. Listen as the crowd